The date is 2026, June 21. This is the Executive Lens. The biggest story today is the widening conflict around Iran and Lebanon, where Israeli strikes are killing civilians and U.S. Iran talks are being pushed into Switzerland under intense pressure. Al Jazeera reports that Israeli attacks in Lebanon have killed more than 4,000 people since March, with the latest round of strikes adding to a rapidly deteriorating security picture. The same reporting says a new round of U.S. Iran talks is slated to take place in Switzerland, even as the regional battlefield remains active. That combination matters because diplomacy is now moving in parallel with military escalation, not after it. Al Jazeera's Iran war updates from Saturday said Tehran has shut the Strait of Hormuz, a major global shipping choke point, while U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance was on his way to Switzerland. Al Jazeera also reported that the U.S. Iran memorandum of understanding does not rule out future tolls in the strait after an initial 60-day period. That detail is important for energy markets and maritime traffic because it suggests the dispute over Hormuz is not fully resolved, only temporarily managed.
Reporting from Fox News adds that President Donald Trump has softened his public stance on Iran's missile capabilities, saying Iran having missiles may be acceptable, which is a notable shift from earlier administration messaging that framed the missile threat as part of the justification for Operation Epic Fury. Separately, the Jerusalem Post reported that Trump told Axios he had achieved regime change in Iran by killing the previous leadership and claimed there were no limits to his power. Those remarks, if they shape policy, could affect how allies and adversaries read Washington's next move. On the government side, the White House has already issued a document titled Promoting Advanced Artificial Intelligence Innovation and Security. The document signals continued federal attention to AI development and security, but the practical significance will depend on how agencies translate that direction into procurement, oversight, and export controls. Here's the story most people missed. ISW reported in its Iran Update Special Report for June 20 that an Iranian negotiating delegation arrived in Switzerland to discuss implementation of the U.S. Iran memorandum of understanding. That is a concrete diplomatic step, and it suggests the talks are not just symbolic. If the delegation stays engaged, the next question is whether the agreement can survive the fighting in Lebanon and the pressure around Hormuz.
What to watch today? First, whether the Switzerland talks produce any public statement from U.S. or Iranian officials. Second, whether the Strait of Hormuz closure leads to shipping disruptions or a market reaction. Third, whether Israeli strikes in Lebanon intensify or whether there is any sign of a pause tied to the diplomatic track. That is the Executive Lens for 26-06-21. Sources in the episode notes. Back tomorrow.